There's no time left to talk about mutants and how mutants.
Many months later.
When are we getting the X-Men?
I cannot tell you that.
When are they gonna get to the fireworks factory?
Marvel Studios delaying their reintroduction of the X-Men is one of the most confounding Hollywood mysteries. Why is it year after year no live-action X-Men title is announced? You want 5 million new Disney Plus subscribers? Just toss up a Wolverine Chronicles title card with coming soon. But why they haven't done this actually requires a deep dive into Hollywood contracts, the shocking list of randos who get a cut of your AMC stub subscription, why Kevin Feige is so secretive, and how powerful Hugh Jackman really is. So today's investigation is, why is Marvel taking so long to reintroduce the X-Men? And you can support the deep dive by grabbing a Miles Morales Multiverse Dive shirt at nerdriot.shop and subscribe for my upcoming analyses of Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. The 2000 X-Men movie was Kevin Feige's start as a 24-year-old associate producer, so you would think bringing the X-Men back home under his roof would be his dream. We know the X-Men were always a part of his vision for the MCU based on an alternate take of the Iron Man post-credit scene in 2008.
As if gamma accidents, radioactive bug bites, and assorted mutants weren't enough, I have to deal with a spoiled brat who doesn't play well with others and wants to keep all his toys to himself.
In 2018, Disney acquired Fox Studios and its properties, including the X-Men and the Deadpool films. Fox had previously owned the film rights to the X-Men and the Fantastic Four as part of Marvel's deal in the late 90s to sell off the film rights to their most popular characters. But with Disney buying Fox, presumably the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, X-Men, and Deadpool could all exist in the MCU together. But when it comes to the X-Men, Marvel has dragged its feet. Evan Peters cameoed in WandaVision after playing Quicksilver in the Fox X-Men films, but that was just a recast joke. Patrick Stewart cameoed as a Charles Xavier in Multiverse of Madness who had his face ripped in half, but for a moment he was introduced this way.
We should tell him the truth.
Our final member, Professor Charles Xavier.
Yes, that was Ron Wasserman's X-Men theme from the 90s animated series, which also played when Kamala Khan was identified as a mutant in Ms. Marvel.
Kamala, there's something different in your genes, like a mutation.
Whatever it is, it's just going to be another label.
In September 2022, Ryan Reynolds announced that Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, would return in Deadpool 3, and Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Namor was established as a mutant.
I was a mutant. I could swim in the sky an inch slower.
And She-Hulk included a headline on a website reading, "Man fights with metal claws in bar brawl." And in the final episode, Jen asks the Kevin robot,
When are we getting the X-Men?
I cannot tell you that.
So that's really it. Hugh Jackman, Wolverine returning in Deadpool 3, a bunch of other little references, and yes, Marvel did announce an animated X-Men 97, but like the Ryan Wasserman theme music, the animated show and this music fall under a different legal category. Meanwhile, we've had no new live-action X-Men or X-Men adjacent title announced. So what is the holdup? Well, earlier this year, Kevin Feige was asked about X-Men by Entertainment Weekly, and he said little more than, "The question is how to do it and when to do it, and that's something we've been working on for years. Now we know, but we're not going to talk about it." Okay, you might not, but we still are, Kevin. Some have suggested that the Fox versions of the X-Men need more time to fade out of viewers' memories before Marvel reboots them, but I have never accepted that argument, because Marvel Studios and Sony rebooted Spider-Man less than 2 years after Andrew Garfield played him in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. You think that wasn't a whiplash for viewers? The producer of a Vice docuseries about Marvel told The Direct that when it comes to the MCU X-Men, it takes time to find, quote, the right script, the right director, the right cast. Sure, yeah, I get that it takes time, but 5 years? Look at the announced titles of Phase 5 and Phase 6. They're largely reactions to recent Phase 4 developments. Captain America 4, The Thunderbolts, spin-offs of Black Widow and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Kang as the villain of Quantumania and Kang Dynasty, those are greenlit after the success of Loki. It doesn't take 5 years to announce a title coming 2 years later. Why could Marvel pull the trigger on Mahershala Ali as Blade for a movie we won't see until 2024, but not simply announce Giancarlo Esposito as Professor X? Many expected that announcement to come last July at San Diego Comic-Con, but when no mutant announcements were made, rumors started going around that Marvel Studios couldn't reboot any of the X-Men until 2025 because contracts with the original Fox X-Men actors prohibited recasting the characters until a certain time. The theory went that Marvel Studios could feature previously cast X-Men actors like Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman, but not cast new actors until after 2025. This claim came from film commentator Devin Faraci. It is highly doubtful that the X-Men actors would have had the motive or the muscle to force Fox into contracts prohibiting the studio from recasting their roles for 7 years. Think about it. In 2018, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, Ty Sheridan, Sophie Turner, Nicholas Hoult, and Evan Peters were coming to the end of the first-class era of the X-Men franchise. Hugh Jackman was ready to move on after Logan. It only seems like he's returning to Deadpool 3 after being talked into it. Jennifer Lawrence, the biggest star after Hugh Jackman, was done with that Mystique bodysuit. So no goddamn way did Fox in 2018 sign a 7-year no recast deal with James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender. I love the guys, but they did not have that kind of pull in Hollywood. Only Ryan Reynolds, as the credited producer and writer on the Deadpool films, could make that case, which is why it's a no-brainer that he's in the MCU now. Geology is a 22-time award-winning skin, hair, and body care company recognized in Men's Health, Oprah Daily, Hypebeast, Birdie, Esquire, and GQ. Their products are built around just a handful of powerful, proven ingredients that have been trusted by dermatologists for decades. Just take a quick 30-second diagnostic quiz, and Geology will create a simple and effective skincare or hair care routine customized just for you. Geology's co-wash and their deodorant are just so great, and I use them all the time. But right now, they're offering a special offer for a skincare sampler pack, and Geology skincare stuff is in a league of its own. Geology's line of skincare products can help you fight acne, reduce oiliness, prevent wrinkles, combat dark or puffy under eyes, have smoother, hydrated skin, and target signs of aging. There's never been a better time to try Geology than right now. For a limited time, use code Rockstars100 to get 100% off your personalized 30-day skincare sampler set. All you have to cover is the $4.95 for shipping. What a deal! On top of that, new Rockstars fans get an exclusive bonus offer of up to 50% off on an additional skin, hair, and body product of your choice when you add it to your trial. Click the link in the description or go to geolog.ie/Rockstars100 to get started. The real issue with the X-Men franchise is that it is a decades-old franchise with many producing partners attached. I call these people legacy producers, and I think that's a generous term because these are the rights holders who mysteriously show up as executive producers on all these movies, and they are contractually bound to receive payouts for every sequel.
There are executive producer credits of people who do absolutely nothing on this show. Is that correct? Nothing. They contribute nothing.
For example, you may have noticed in the credits of every Batman movie, executive producer Michael Uslan. Michael Uslan was a college professor in the 1970s who created a course on comic book mythology, leading to him writing for DC Comics, and, along with producer Benjamin Melniker, secured the film rights for Warner Brothers' Batman films. They would make the case that without them, Batman never would have been a brooding box office hero. And with the success of Tim Burton's 1989 Batman, they have since received executive producer credit on every single Batman or Joker movie since. And they're not alone. Every major franchise has random names like this. And it's not just your Stan Lee credits. Him, we can all agree, makes sense. But for many years, Superman was tied to a guy named John Peters. Who was John Peters? Well, he was Barbara Streisand's former hairdresser and romantic partner who bought the film rights to Superman in the early 1990s. And when Kevin Smith was hired to write a script for Superman Lives, John Peters demanded that Superman never fly in the movie, nor appear in his costume, and must fight a giant spider. Kevin Smith and James Gunn recently joked about this while talking about Superman Legacy. John Peters has received executive producer credit on every movie with Superman in the title, including 2006's Superman Returns and 2013's Man of Steel. It's also possible he gets credited on Superman Legacy. I don't know. The 007 films are owned by the Broccoli family. Barbara Broccoli and her half-brother Michael G. Wilson have been executive producers on every Bond movie since the 80s, including No Time to Die. And yeah, according to a 1989 LA Times interview, the Broccoli family does claim to have invented the genetic strain of the vegetable broccoli, that it was named after their family. So who would be the legacy producers of the X-Men films? Well, longtime Hollywood producer Lauren Schuler Donner was the executive producer of the first X-Men movie and was the producer Kevin Feige worked as an assistant for. He credits her as the reason he got started producing Marvel films. Lauren Schuler Donner has been listed as a producer or executive producer on every X-Men title, but Schuler Donner actually did real producing work on many of these films. She's a longtime Hollywood producer with many amazing titles that she led the charge on. Hutch Parker was the credited producer on every X-Men title since 2013's The Wolverine, as the head of production at 20th Century Fox during those years. Other X-Men legacy producers include Simon Kinberg, who produced most X-Men movies and directed Dark Phoenix, and Bryan Singer, who directed the first two X-Men movies along with Days of Future Past and Apocalypse, though reportedly Simon Kinberg had to replace him on set for some of those. Bryan Singer's name was taken off Dark Phoenix due to a long history of sexual abuse allegations. It's worth noting that Dark Phoenix was not distributed with X-Men in the title in the United States. Often when a filmmaker has directed many installments of a franchise, especially the early installments, their agents and lawyers secure them producer credit on all sequels that also have have that IP in the title of the film. These are contracts that are really hard to break without expensive lawsuits, regardless of what someone's public reputation might be. So it's possible that Marvel Studios may be unable to make a movie or show with X-Men in the title without crediting and paying a list of legacy producers, one whose name no one wants in their movie, and they might just have to wait for a certain amount of time to expire. I haven't got to look at any of these contracts. I'm just saying that if contract reasons are what is holding up the X-Men in the MCU, it's more likely producers than actors. But there was one quote from Avengers Endgame co-director Joe Russo last summer, who was asked about directing a Wolverine title someday.
That was one of my favorite comics growing up, Wolverine. One of my prized possessions is Incredible Hulk 181, which was the first appearance of Wolverine. It's a important part of my comic book collection. Wolverine being so essential to the X-Men, of course, that would be a fun project to work on and find a new way into it. But I do think that that's probably something that Kevin has rightfully put aside for a while to, introduce some new characters to the world and bring that back when it's ready.
Yeah, notice how Russo casually throws out Wolverine being so essential to the X-Men, as if that is some undisputed truth. We can't have an X-Men franchise without a Wolverine in it. Despite the X-Men being known for dozens of point-of-view characters, in the studio's eyes, Wolverine is the key. Kevin Feige might just feel like an X-Men reboot is not possible without the right Wolverine, which brings us back to Ryan Reynolds teaming up with Wolverine in Deadpool 3. As long as Hugh Jackman wants to return for Deadpool 3, it makes it really hard for the studio to move forward on announcing anything about their new X-Men without spoiling plot details about Deadpool 3, because announcing a new Wolverine would indicate whether Marvel Studios is going to use the multiverse to do this or establish this in-universe. So really, it's Marvel's ridiculous need to keep everything secret and let the rumor mill excite fans with all these false reports, allowing expectations to run wild, and that is what is resulting in this confusion. So if you are losing patience with the MCU over the X-Men, you can blame Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman for needing one last ride, you can blame Kevin Feige for hiding all his plans under that ball cap, or you could just blame Bryan Singer, because it's crazy that Jonathan Majors might go to jail, but this guy won't. Please subscribe to The Deep Dive and turn notifications on. Share this channel and its videos with everyone you know. Follow me at EA Voss. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, my divers of the deep.